Hey everyone, this is my public history project. Goes by the name Stone and Sentry, the architectural and historical legacy of the Guelph Armory. Of course, by me up here, here's a nice little photo of what I'm going to talk about. So here's nice little points of discussion of the presentation. So there's a background of the armory, the background of the regiment itself, the beyond the barracks, and what was lost and what was gained, and you guys will see that in a little bit. So the background of the armory. So I had the pleasure of going to the Guelph Armory, located in 7 Wyndham Street South, Guelph, Ontario. Uh, the Guelph Armory itself is a massive fortress-like armory that's located on a sloped site in downtown Guelph. It was designed in a late Gothic revival style that is predominantly brick and rock faced, and it was constructed in 1906, 1907. The heritage value, the armory itself is recognized as a federal heritage building due to its historical, architectural, and environmental values. And its historical value is that the armory is linked to changes in active volunteer militia during Frederick Borden's time as the Minister of Militia and Defense from 1886 to 1911. These changes made the militia into a better trained and organized military force. When World War I started, the militia was ready for action. The armory served as a place for training and recruiting soldiers during the war. So, who were the architects? So, pictured here is Thomas Fuller and David Ewart. These photos were provided by the Dictionary of Canadian Biographies. So both Fuller and Ewart, in their respective tenures as Chief Dominion architects, played pivotal roles in shaping Canada's federal architecture, including the Guelph Armory. Thomas Fuller is best known as the principal designer of the original Parliament buildings. He held the position from 1881 to 1896 and was responsible for the initial design of many armories, including the one in Guelph. His successor, David Ewart, who served from 1897 to 1914, is renowned for his chateau-style buildings and oversaw the final design and the construction of the Guelph Armory, which was completed in 1908, while it was builded in between 1906 to 1907 from the information that I found. Their sequential involvement in this project directly links two of Canada's most important architects whose collective work defined the monumental stone and brick public buildings of the era. So here's a nice little past and present. So here's a side-by-side of the armory when it was finished. And this is a postcard photo from 1909 that I found in the Guelph Museum archives. And here is what the building looks like today. And this is a photo that I found. And when I visited, it looks primarily like this. Like nothing has changed, and the red stands out of the building itself. So the background of the regiment that is currently housed there. So the origins of the 11th Field Artillery Regiment of Guelph, Ontario dates back all the way to 1866 with the formation of the Guelph Battery of Garrison Artillery in response to the Fenian raids. This unit, which established Guelph's reputation as the Gunner's Town, or the Gunner's Town, according to both those who live in the Guelph area from what I've asked and from those who actually work in the regiment itself, evolved through several name changes and amalgamations, including the notable 1878 battery formed with students from the Ontario Architectural College, or Agricultural College, I should correct myself there. In 1880, these units were combined to create the first provisional brigade of field artillery, heralding the formation of what would become Canada's oldest continuing artillery regiment. Throughout the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the regiment maintained a high standard of efficiency, with its lineage continuing through the 29th Field Battery, which resides in Hamilton, Ontario. Pictured here is the 11th Field Regiment, taken in May 1940, and this photo was provided by the Canadian War Museum. It's a nice little postcard here. So, the conflicts the regiment has been a part of. So, in its crest itself, the credo, I would say, is called Ibic, Quo Fast e Gloria Dicunt, which translates here on the bottom of everywhere whither right and glory leads. So the conflicts that they've been part of have been the First World War, the Second World War, the Korean Wars. They've had their involvement in the Cold War, and in modern conflicts in the Balkans and Afghanistan, they've also been involved with. So what the regiment does today is domestic deployments, international raids, community involvement, and enduring service. This video was taken during my visit with Sergeant Olivia Kerouac actually firing an artillery cannon. I was surprised I was actually allowed to be near it. And it was relatively loud. It was insanely loud. So here's a nice little video of that. If it'll play. Yeah, and that almost completely hit me, that shell. Okay, so beyond the barracks, and again, here's Sergeant Olivia Kerouac showing young boy a gun, because she knows how to do that. So the 11th Field Regiment of the Royal Canadian Military is committed to community work in Hamilton and Guelph. It sees serving the community as part of its military duties. Activities go beyond military events. Regiment works with local groups and participates in community activities in both cities. The regiment supports different charities. It does United Way barbecues for the Guelph and Washington County. It's done multiple Run for the Cures for the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation. In Hamilton, the regiment sponsored teams for Bell Walk for Kids Help Phone to support your youth mental health. The regiment's community work is varied. Members volunteer at food drives and food banks during the holidays. The regiment hosts public ceremonies for Remembrance Day and for the Battle of the Atlantic. These events allow the community to remember the royal military history that the regiments hold within the areas. The regiment itself focuses on youth development and supports the Royal Canadian Army Cadet Corps associated with it. Members provide mentorship, facilities, and training. Different gunners can visit schools and youth groups to talk about leadership, discipline, and Canadian history. The regiment also helps local governments with community projects such as park cleanups, setups for festivals, provide honor guards for civic events. It shows how much the 11th is part of the active community that they serve. So I don't think I'm going to have enough time for this, but there is a nice brief little video of Sergeant Olivia Kerouac in her ceremonial garb. And she talks about the regiment itself, and if you guys access it yourself, you can go watch it as well. And these were also taken of the day as well. So a neat thing about the history of the 11th Field Regiment is that its most famous member is actually John McCrae, who wrote In Flanders Fields. So John McCrae was a doctor of Canada who wrote poetry. In 1915, he wrote In Flanders Field, which became famous. McCrae is connected to the military unit called the 11th Field Regiment. He was one of the first officers in the related unit called the 11th Field Artillery Brigade, and this was before the name change. When the brigade was created in 1914, he served as a brigade major. His job was to help organize and train units. This was before the unit went to go fight in Europe on the Western Front. At the same time, he wrote the poem. McCrae was working as a medical officer in a different unit called the 1st Brigade Canadian Field Artillery. Even though he was not with the 11th Field Regiment at the moment, he had a leadership role earlier in its development. His leadership in his poem is a part of the history of the 11th Field Regiment, and its words and actions are remembered today as a part of Canadian military history. And what was lost and what was gained. So just a 10-minute drive away when I was actually finished my visit stands the city's war memorial. So the Guelph War Memorial is a flat, simple structure made of stone and metal. The memorial has many names written on it, and I believe I managed to find John McCrae's name that was also on it as well. And when you look at these names, you can see that they are individual people, and each name represents a person who lost their life. Their families also suffered because of this loss. The memorial is made of materials that can last decades, probably millennia, hopefully. And the purpose of the memorial is to remember those who died. It is a place where people can come and think about the past. The memorial also shows what the city and country gained from the war. This reminds us of the importance of peace. It also shows the cost of war. The city keeps the memorial in honor of the sacrifices made. It is a reminder of what was lost and what was saved. The memorial helps us remember history. It makes us think about the importance of peace and freedom. It is a symbol of respect for those who fought and died for the country. I'm already running 10 minutes here. Thank you for listening to my presentation. And again, this is dedicated towards a good friend of mine, Olivia Kierwak, and here's her with her husband, gaining her sergeant rank. I would have not done this project without her inspiration because she is a fantastic person. And yeah, I would also like to thank the 11th Field Artillery and Guelph Armory who allowed me to understand their history. To Michael Kerouac, her husband, and their pictures side by side, adjoining, and he's a great person too. And to all the servicemen and women who serve this country, or those who have died serving this great nation that we call home. And for those who would like to access the presentation themselves, there's a QR code where you can watch that Kerouac video that I was not able to get to within this presentation. Thank you very much for listening to this, and I hope you found this to be very enlightening. I know I did.